All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Today is Friday, June 2nd. Just had a hot jobs report with the non farm payrolls coming in at 339,000 jobs added versus the 180,000 expected, up from 294,000 jobs added for the month of April, which was revised up from 253. So, very hot last couple of non-farm payrolls, but interesting enough, the unemployment rate actually went up to 3.7%, worse than expected at 3.5%, and 3.4% for the month of April. So I've been saying that the unemployment rate really doesn't make a lot of sense if you look at the continuing jobless claims. It's up about like 10%. So it seems like this might be finally kind of coming to fruition. So, kind of a mixed jobs report with the unemployment rate being higher than expected and the number of jobs added being higher than expected. Kind of weird data. But what we are seeing, interesting enough, is a rotation out of tech, it seems like, and more so into industrials, into energy, into names that really haven't been doing too well, which actually would be good signs for the start of a bull market. And right now, SPY is up by like 0.7%, 0.6%, something like that. Let's see. Yeah, 0.65%. The Dow is up by 0.7%, and the NASDAQ, top 100, is only up by 0.5%. So we're seeing the NASDAQ finally kind of lagging behind, which is what you would want to see in a healthy bull market. And that's why you're seeing SPY up as much as it is right now. Expecting a market melt up today. It really depends what we get, I think, out of IWM and the Dow. If you get a continuation of the rally, then yes, I would think that we would kind of melt up throughout the day. But the problem is that IWM has a resistance at about 179. Every time that it gets there, it ends up getting rejected. So it's going to cross that in order to really go bullish here. There is the market open. We're trading at 178 for IWM. Let me get rid of the customized grid feature. Don't need that right now. But yeah, SPY is starting out by 0.7%. The Dow is up by 0.7%. And the Qs is only up by 0.6 for right now. I did take a call credit spread for Lulu yesterday, which did not go well. Lulu is up about 15% after the earnings, because whenever you sell $100 yoga pants, you have really good profit margins, which I expected. But retail stocks really haven't been giving good guidance, which was my expectations, but their guidance came in basically at expectations, and now their stock is basically at all-time highs again at $378 as of right now. So let's see. Oil is still doing well, up 2.5%. The dollar is marginally down. After yesterday's fallout would be a good sign for the dollar. For gold, that's what you would want to see for those names to go up. Actually, gold is down slightly today, 0.15%. But yeah, everything kind of up this morning. And Qs is finally lagging behind. Now Q's is going to take over again. Oh, don't do this again. Every day Q's is doing something crazy. Seems like we have all the big tech names in the green today. Amazon's doing the best, up 2.5%. Tesla's up 1.6. Meta is up the least, but still up 0.6%. Microsoft, a name that never ceases to go up, it seems like, up by 0.7%. Google up 1.3. Huge 5-minute candle on the open. Nvidia 403.50. And Tesla coming up on some resistance at 212. That's what it's looking like. All right, I'm thinking about cutting losses on my AMD put. Looks like we're definitely having some bullish action coming off of yesterday's low at 116. So revisiting that probably would be out of the cards in the next couple of days at least. And I don't have that long until expiration. So probably going to look into closing that one. Maybe not on the open just because we are getting a decent rally in the Qs. IWM is really getting up there. Ended up getting rejected right at 179, 179.10. So went a little bit higher, but not quite there. So I think that's probably the first trade I'll make today, is assuming IWM to be below 179, just because that's where it's continued to stay for the last 2 months. Ever since the Silicon Valley Bank collapsed, it has not been able to breach that 179 level. Right now, the payout is 24 cents for $100 collateral. Dropping, of course, as soon as I try to open it. Let's see. I would want to get at least 22 cents credit, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to. Okay, now they're raising the credit as we go closer. All right, you have that 178.41 resistance, and then 179 is the next to look out for. Definitely looks bullish though. Let's see if we pull up the, no, not IVP. It's not what I want. RSI MACD, we're at 70 for RSI. Since the report has come out, we haven't gone below 60. So that's kind of a hard, you're definitely going against momentum for that trade, which makes this trade a whole lot harder to pull off. So I think I'll wait on it. The pay is really good right now at 29 cents, but momentum is definitely bullish for the moment. It looks like Nvidia's pulling back to 400. Going overbought first 5 minutes for the Qs at 73 on the RSI. Surprise, surprise. Let's see. The Dow is actually leading now. So yeah, this is what you want to see. If you want the SPY to continue to go up, you want to see the Dow actually performing well. You want to see the names that haven't been getting as much love, like retail names, energy names, things like that. or communication names, Verizon, AT&T. Those would be the names that you would want to see continue to rally in order for SPY to keep pushing. So my guess, SPY is probably going to be up today, given that the Dow is up 1.05. I don't know if we'll see 430. That would be a bit of a stretch. But we are at 426 at the moment, just above my 425.50 resistance, now a support level. Well, if money is flowing out of Qs and going into Dow, you would expect the Qs to pull back. It is up 1% almost. And this is the first time it's got rejected this morning at 355.60. So we'll see if that continues. Maybe a call credit spread on Qs could be better than IWM. If we go at 357, 358, we're getting paid 24 cents credit. If we go one strike price lower, 356, 357, we get paid 34 cents, so an extra 9 cents for another dollar up. Definitely a bullish start, though. You're above 70 on the RSI, so hard to bet against momentum here. What happened with the jobs report came in hotter than expected for the non-farm payrolls, 339,000 versus 180,000 expected, 294,000 in April. And then the unemployment rate came in higher than expected, 3.7% versus 3.5% expected, up from 3.4% for the month of April. So kind of a mixed jobs report is what I would call it, given that the unemployment rate was higher, but somehow we added more jobs than what was expected. And the dollar interest rates really haven't moved too much on that. Actually, the 10-year did end up increasing a bit, 3.65 versus yesterday's close at 3.609. So small raise in the 10-year interest rate. Man, that IWM call credit spread just seems so enticing. But I really don't want to bet against the rotation. Yeah, SPY is just above support, 425.50, now 426.20. So I guess if I do go short with the call credit spread on IWM, I'll probably want to hedge it with some sort of bullish position for SPY would probably be best. All right, they're paying 20 cents, 27 cents. 28 would be nice if I can. For the IWM call credit spread. I'm only going to enter 5 of them just so I don't take on too much risk. IWM. Right at that 178.41 level. Looks like AMD and NVIDIA are both dropping here. Of course, I did not get filled on that trade as I wanted. All right, I'll try 25 cents credit. I got 26. Okay, I'll take that. Just opened a new IWM call credit spread expiring today. 6/2 at 26. It looks like I could have got that for a bit more. But here we go, AMD and NVIDIA both coming down, so you might see Q starting to drop a little bit, but you are seeing the Dow continuing to lead the way, as well as IWM. So yeah, rotation definitely in effect today, especially with the money being pulled out of AMD and NVIDIA, the two, well, not the two, but the industry that's been doing really well has been stocks or semiconductors. So seeing a pullback here would be nice, and then putting that money into small caps, industrials, things like that will be necessary to see a healthy bull market, I would say. Do I think NVIDIA is overvalued? I've seen opinions that it's doomed for a nasty fall. NVIDIA is very hard to trade, I would say. I'm not really one that likes to participate in, manias. And NVIDIA, I would say, is a mania, like the AI mania, right? I do think, the need for chips is going to grow with artificial intelligence. It's pretty obvious. But the problem is that they guided very, very high for their next earnings report. With their revenue, they expect it to go up 50% quarter to quarter, which is absolutely ridiculous. Given that, going into a recession, you would see actually a drop in demand for chips. And if we are going into a recession, they would predict for that. But they're saying that, no, we're going to be selling more chips than what y'all think. 50% more chips than we've ever done before. So I think if you do expect a drop for NVIDIA, I don't think that it's going to come for months. And that's probably going to be on the tail of them announcing that they're not going to meet their revenue guidance. Again, it's $11 billion for next quarter, the Q2 report. For the first quarter, they only did $7 billion. So they expect a 50% increase in revenue quarter to quarter, which doesn't seem like it would happen. But yeah, NVIDIA is actually dropping this morning, 0.82. Apple is flat. You're still seeing people pumping into Amazon. That actually kind of makes sense. Amazon, it's not so much of a tech company. Well, I mean, I guess their main cash cow is AWS, which is definitely tech, but kind of retail as well. So maybe that's why we're seeing Amazon up 2% today versus all the other big tech. You're seeing Google only up 1, Microsoft up half, Meta up 0.1. But yeah, huge pullback in AMD, Nvidia right now. Crazy. Kind of thinking about going long SOX S. I don't know if it's too late. Started at 1133. It's up to 1164 now. But the Dow is still rallying. Where Qs, I think, would be stalling out here. Yeah, Qs is actually pulling back on that candle. Now, I don't know how long this rotation will last. That's kind of hard to say, but let's see. I just erased one of the names by accident. What was it? Microsoft. But yeah, I would want to see a lot of money coming out of semiconductors just because of how overheated they've become. I mean, you saw AMD going up to $130 just a couple of days ago, up from 108 pre Nvidia earnings. Nvidia obviously up a shit ton too, like 25% after their earnings. So seeing a pullback in semis would be necessary for that rotation to take place, I would think. Surprised that oil is still rising. 2.5% today. I was in a USO call yesterday that would have gave me a little bit more profit today. I ended up exiting when I was at 63 was my price target that I was looking for. But oil's doing well. You're probably going to see, what is it, XLU, utilities. Actually, utilities isn't doing that hot just yet. This is one that you would want to see a rotation into too, because this one hasn't been performing very well year to date. Let's see, XLP might be up a ton. Yeah, up 0.84%. Energy probably up a lot today. Yeah, 1.8. Financials. I don't know how financials would be doing. I guess, yeah, today they're doing pretty well. Up 1.7%. The regionals are up 2.5%. And that's kind of on the back of the Fed skipping rates, or skipping the rate hike at the next meeting in June. Now, I don't really agree with that position, but that's what they're going to, seemingly what they're going to do. Is there anything to do with the spread if it's worthless? Yeah, no, not really. Once your spreads reach max loss, I usually just leave them alone. Like, I have my call credit spread on Lulu. Actually, there is a little bit of money left in it that I can take out. I set for next week's expiration, so it gives me a little time. which makes it, not max loss. Let's see, it's going for 475 at the moment at the mid price. The bid ask is like $5 wide though, so the fill on that would be pretty difficult. Double wide calendar, or a super wide double calendar. Yeah, Lulu was a crazy one. Lulu usually does move really big on their earnings too. Like every time that they have earnings, they have a gap up or a gap down. At least for the last 3 earnings. So this one was, 12% to the upside, back to the highs. And so they were selling off ahead of their earnings report because every other retail name was doing really bad. Target, Walmart, what was it? The makeup brand, Ulta. They were all doing really bad. So it was selling off ahead of time and then ended up recovering that just because I think Wall Street just estimated them to do really poorly, which usually happens. I was looking at this yesterday. Wall Street always underestimates Lulu for some reason by like a large margin. They ended up beating earnings, I think, by about 10%. But if you look at Lulu, earnings, no, I guess it's not that bad. I think I was looking at a different stock. But yeah, they ended up beating at 228 earnings per share versus 198 expected. Last quarter was 440 versus 426 expected. And a year ago, they were doing 220 earnings per share. So they slightly did better. Actually, no, they did actually decently better. 148 earnings per share in first quarter of 2022 versus 228. So actually a decent rise in earnings. So yeah, with their stock up 14%, I'm not too surprised. Something that I was considering before they actually posted their earnings was actually buying some shares of the company, like 5-10 shares, just to cover the call credit spread in case it did go wrong, which I'll probably implement in the next one, because my strike price was so close that it was, not super unlikely that it would hit. So that's probably something that I'll implement next earnings. If I have a call credit spread or a bearish position, I'll probably hedge it with shares of the stock. Yeah, small business and retail have been doing really bad this year. Yeah, it's a very interesting economy, I would say. Like a lot of smaller businesses aren't doing so well, but like things like Lulu, if you're selling $100 yoga pants and you have a big brand name to you, yeah, the company's going to be doing really well. So there's still a lot of money sloshing around in the economy. I would say a lot of it is still just from high income earners, people that make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Inflation doesn't impact them as much as somebody making less. So, the people that can't afford the $100 yoga pants are going to buy them. Whereas, the average folk, they're not going to be shopping for Lulu, but they'd be shopping at Target, which is down like 13% post earnings. Actually catching a bid today, though. Target is up 1.3%. Yesterday, it seemed to be a start of a reversal on Target from 126.75 at the bottom to 133 at the moment. Stocks S is really rallying though. Let's see the semi names. AMD is down 0.75%. Nvidia is down 1%. Let's check AMAT. It's down 1.5%. What other names can we think of? TSM is actually up 1%, but falling. Huge pump going into SOX S though, with this drop in the semis. SPY's pulling back a bit. Dow is still leading. Dow is still up 1%, 1.15. But you are seeing the tech names dragging at the moment, with Q's only up by 0.1%. IWM ended up coming back too. So that call credit spread. Beautiful work. Thoughts on PayPal going to 80? PayPal's at 64. This is one of those names that's been beaten down really bad since earnings. So seeing a recovery for it wouldn't be shocking. Seeing a recovery to 80, though, would be a stretch, in my opinion. Getting back to 80, I would think, would probably take them, I don't know, something along the lines of like 6 months. I mean, unless they really start to get some momentum going, but the momentum has definitely been down since earnings, and I wouldn't imagine that they would have any catalyst between now and next earnings. So at least a few months until I would expect their stock to be at 80. Any news for over the weekend or next week? Let's see. It started June. Let's check the econ calendar. They should have the debt limit passed today, I think. If not, over the weekend. The markets have already priced that in, I believe. Actually, I think they ended up passing it. But I don't know. Let me see. Next week, we have Global Composite PMI on Monday. Services PMI. Employment trends. Factory orders, ISM, non-manufacturing employment, and non-manufacturing PMI at 10 a.m. Nothing on Wednesday or Tuesday. Thursday, initial jobless claims, continuing jobless claims. You really don't have a lot of data next week, actually. It's a very slow week in terms of data. The major data you're going to get is going to be on Monday, and that's pretty much it. And then the jobless claims, of course. But other than that, it's going to be a boring week. Is it a good idea to wait for a stock to rebound to counter losses when the trade is in the negative, or just a better idea to sell off ASAP? Well, it really depends because, sometimes you have crazy stocks like Nvidia that go up and down like 5% a day, right? Those kind of stocks you could, but if you have a more boring stock, something like Microsoft, for example, which only moves maybe 1% a day if you're lucky, these kind of names you would want to cut your losses. But if it's something very volatile, very high beta, like Nvidia, you could hold that. The Dow is starting to pull back a little bit, not much. It's still up by 1.1%. We're definitely seeing the rotation going on. Some of the money is getting pulled out of small caps. Oh, the VIX just went below 15. Wow. Damn. The lowest since 2021. So that means if you want any protection with put options on SPY, they are going to be dirt cheap right now. All right. IWM coming back to 178. Gaining some support at 177.65. My call credit spreads are up $45, 35%. Seem to have bounced at about 50 RSI. So maybe slightly bullish. The Qs is recovering a little bit though, up 0.25% now. Earlier is only up by 0.1. So today I'd probably be short Qs, long Dow, maybe long IWM, but IWM has that resistance at 179 that we've been watching for 2 months, so hard to call it a bull market for IWM, the Russell 2000, just yet. SPY put spread, is it credit or debit? I'm thinking about going long SPY possibly for the next June, the FOMC meeting in June. I don't think I would want to put it in Qs just because that's already seen a huge rally recently. So I'd either put it in Dow or SPY. All right. I think I'm going to get out of the call credit spreads for IWM at 17. Place the order in. Leave it as a limit order for now. Okay. Out of that trade. Closing options alert. Premium. Just took profits on the IWM call credit spread expiring today. 6.2 at 0.17. Probably could hold that. Just don't want to deal with the possibility of it gaining supports at that 177.65 level and rallying back up and getting closer to that 179. Haven't tried any credit spreads. Trying to master debit. You know, they're very similar, so it wouldn't be hard to switch from one to the other. One you're just using collateral, the other one you're using debit. Tesla is still up 2.5% today. The leader for the tech market. That and Amazon up 1.8%. SPY's back above 425.50. Bounced at 50 on the RSI. Kind of thinking that this is either going to be flat at 50 on the RSI, or it's going to stay up close to that 425.50 mark. With the Qs kind of holding back. If it does pull back, that would put more downward pressure where you would see a flat day for SPY. But if the Qs can manage to stay positive today, then you'll see a rally in SPY. She's mad about her SPY puts. Damn, Tesla's going crazy. 3% today. Overbought on RSI for the daily chart at 80 almost. You're not seeing much change for Nvidia now that it bottomed at 392, back to 396. Looks like Dow might have found a top, but still very bullish, still well above 60 RSI. That's probably the trend that I would expect today out of the Dow, to just kind of stay above 60 RSI. If it does kind of come down, that might ruin SPY's gains today. So maybe assuming Dow above 334 could be a good trade. Problem is with Dow, their bid-ask spreads, DIA, are really bad. It's at 335 right now. Looking at the 335 call, it's going for 75 cents. But the bid ask for it is 5 cents wide. So if you have any stop losses that you want to set for this, it's got to be very, very wide. I wish there was a better way to trade the Dow. Let's see. SOX S is pulling back a tad. Still up by 1.2% today, though. Kind of thinking going long this maybe for the next couple of weeks, anticipating the rotation out of tech and out of the semis. Could either go with just long shares of it, or buying a $12 call for June 16th. They're going for 80 cents at the moment. Break even would be $12.80, so it'd have to go up another dollar. The last time it was $12.80 was, let's see, right here. I don't see the date. It was 4 trading days ago. I wonder what the delta is. Delta for this is 51. I think I'll buy just shares of it, though. I think that would be a better way to trade it, considering that it's already rallied so much. Now I gotta decide where I want to cut my losses if it goes south. Um, Looking at the hourly chart, probably 11:30 or below, maybe 11:20. So that'd be 86 cents. Okay. Per share. Probably buy a few hundred shares, I think of it. Just bought 300 shares of SOXS. Dow is just kind of chilling out up here. 67 RSI. Could also buy puts on it just for protection in case you do see Nvidia continuing to rally and get closer to 400. Been busy watching Apple. Let's see. The big Apple. Right at that 179 mark. I think this is all-time high territory. It was 183. It's at 179 right now, so not too far off all-time highs. Apple's been kind of one of the laggers in the AI mania lately. So seeing this closer to all-time highs isn't too surprising, given that it's had that lag. But pulling back from 182 to 179, decent pullback there. Yeah, so it looks like Q's is staying low. Dow is staying high right now. And Dow refuses to not be overbought today. So, bullish positioning in Dow is favorable today. That's what it's looking like. WWDC run up. Usually, whenever they have WWDC, it's a kind of a sell the news type of event. So, I probably wouldn't be holding into the event. There's IWM close to 179 again. Dollar index is going up right now, so oil should be coming down, but it's not. It is a little bit, but not hardly at all. It's up still 2%. Gold is actually pulling back, though. Gold, I would expect to do well for the Fed meeting in June. Likely, we're going to get the pause or skip, whatever they want to call it. Nvidia's still trying to rally here. Went oversold and then it bounced right out of that. Buy the dip sentiment is still on for Nvidia, it seems. Q's is just kind of freezing though. 352 to 354. Maybe we could get a rebound out of these lows. I think Nvidia would be able to rally today. Not a significant one, I don't think, no. Yesterday it tried to get above 400 and then failed at the end of the day. My guess would probably be that it's going to stay below 400 again today. It's at 395, 396 right now, so only needs to go up 1%, but with the NASDAQ lagging behind, it seems like more money is going into things that aren't semiconductors, basically, in big tech. So it's gonna be hard for Nvidia to see much of a rally today, I think. If it does, maybe you see 400 by the end of the day, but I don't know if it's gonna be sustainable. The Dow, though, really improved at 335 for DIA, the highest that we've seen since the monthly expiration, 519. SPY is almost smack dab between 50 and 60 RSI. So bullish, but also just flat. Starting to make a flag too. Or a wedge. Yeah, so it looks like all the tech names except for Tesla had a pop first thing in the morning and then flattened out. Google especially. Microsoft. Meta on a smaller scale. Apple has been descending, and then Nvidia popped, fell, and then flattened out. Thinking about doing a call credit spread for Qs since it's having trouble with that 354 resistance. Actually, a little bit lower, 353.75. Payout right now is 30 cents credit for 100 collateral. Either that or just buying a 0 DDE put at 354 strike. Going for 140 right now. I'd imagine that's probably the cheapest, or close to the cheapest you'll get it, based on this range. Yeah, they already popped to 148. 152. The lowest that they got was 140. Looking to buy QQQ 354 put, expiring today, 6/2. Now they sent him back down to 140. 135. Right at the top of the range and right at 50 RSI. It looks like we broke just now. So not entering that trade just yet until we come back down. You're seeing it above 50 RSI, 2 lower lows. This will be a higher high, so that would be a start to an uptrend if it does hold those levels. Nope, doesn't seem like it wanted to. Not yet. They're going for 125 right now. Cheapest was 120 is what I saw. All right, I might snag him at 125. We're hesitating at 50 RSI. Hard trade to make. Definitely looks bullish though. With that candle at least. I'll just keep my stop loss short. Nope, they just dropped them. Let's see. Yeah. Definitely looking like a bullish hammer candle. Breaking above resistance. So more of a bullish setup than a bearish at the moment. So I did not open that trade. Only stocks moving slow, Baba and Amazon. Let's see. Amazon's up by 2% today. Tesla's up a ton, 3%, 3.5. That's the big mover today. And now you're seeing tech starting to go green. Let's see, Nvidia's back up to 398. So getting close to 400 once again. Getting lower, higher lows, higher highs out of it so far. So yeah, bullish positioning and SPY. Dow would have worked out well. Q's starting to look bullish. So if it just follows what the rest of the market is doing, then you would see an improvement for Q's. The lowest that these contracts went was 64 cents this morning, when Q's was up at 355, 356. Yeah, I think I'm just going to have to let go of that trade idea. It looks too bullish to open a put. We'll have to look elsewhere. SPY well above 50 RSI, back to 70 almost. Dow still above 70 RSI. And the IWM finally broke 179. And that's pretty major moves there. Yeah, Nvidia's really rallying into that 400 mark again. Pretty sizable rally from 392. So either we can wait on a pullback in Qs back to 50 for RSI and go bullish. SPY and 70 RSI. You could go bullish. Set the stop loss tight. And Dow just seems like it would continue to go up. Probably non-stop today. Similar to what we saw in Q's, what was it, on Friday of last week. I think that's probably the price action you'll get in Dow, DIA. You're starting to get a bearish hammer candle in Nvidia a little bit, which might lead QQQ to go down, but you got to get that lower low in. right, starting to get a bearish hammer candle on Qs too. Okay. 55 on RSI. Oh man, they just jumped those prices so high, so quick. 100 a piece. They were at 90. All right, I'm gonna try to get him at 94. Oh, got him at 92. Okay, bought 10 at 92. Now we got some spinning candles, fun stuff. More indecision. Hitting my stop loss. All right, yeah. Hit my stop loss with those, so I'll cut it there. Sold at 80, 120 loss. And looks like that NVIDIA bearish hammer candle did not play out. Let's see, AMD's back to 120 almost again. Kind of in yesterday's range between 121 was the top and 117 at the lows. And this is what I was kind of expecting in semis, just kind of trading range bound, not really breaking one direction or the other. NVIDIA does look like it's more primed to break one way. Looks like it wants to keep going up, getting a magnet at the 400 mark. I would imagine the magnet for AMD is probably 120 today. Lots of options probably expiring with those strike prices. Some market makers will probably try to want to pin it. Dow is just non-stop uptrend today. Staying an overbought for the 5-minute chart. Computer should be plugged in. What you mean? Oh. There we go. Now it's fixed. So Nvidia's looking like a double top so far, but this candle could break through that high very easily. I'm thinking whatever Nvidia does, Q's will probably follow along with it today. So if it is going to 400 by the end of the day, I would think Q's maybe back to the morning highs of like 355, 356. Not a cheap position to take right now, though. Glad I got out of that IWM call credit spread now. That could have gone south very quick if I had held it. Microsoft, man, relentless to the upside. 335. Up another 0.7% today. I guess with the Dow still leading, you might see Microsoft and Apple, those two big tech names, still doing well. But the other ones that have been bought up, like Nvidia, I wouldn't expect too much more of a rally for those. Yeah, looks like Nvidia's getting exhausted here at 398.50. You see it slowing down in the momentum. It's kind of what happened yesterday, right before the close. If it does end up pulling back, that would be pretty decent. Like this. But you did see it kind of hover around those prices for a while, around 400. That lasted for a good, hour or so, from 150 to actually 3 o'clock, 3:10, 3:15, before it started dropping. So it could be a couple hours before you see Nvidia pulling back if it plays out similar to what happened yesterday. SPY's getting close to 430, 427.50 at the moment. Probably should have expected a rally after crossing that trend line. The Dow is up 1.7% today. Wow. Crazy, crazy day for the Dow. Wow. The Dow calls, the 336 are up 2,200% today. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I don't think anybody really expected the rotation today. So I'm thinking either 429 or 430 calls on SPY. But you need Qs to continue the rally to get to 430, I think. Unless you just have the Dow like ripping up like 3% or something crazy. Which could happen, but I'd say unlikely. Learn the ropes and slopes and how to trade using options. Anyone help old man figure out? How would I recommend? I mean, I learned it just through kind of what we're doing here, and just practicing every single day, trading every single day, putting in the time into it and the effort. Trading at the end of the day is just a skill like any other, where you have to train it in order to get better at it. And the more often you can train it, the better. Alright, let's set up an alert below 354 for Qs. That'll be a new low. It's at 354.87, so it still needs to drop about $1, which is pretty sizable on Qs. You usually don't get too big of a flush very quickly, at least. It hits 60 RSI and it's pulling back, so if you're assuming Qs to be neutral today, you could short it down to 50 on the RSI from 60 right now. The last time I was at 50 RSI, I was right at that 354 mark too. Alright, Dow's barely coming out of overbought, so people are probably going to start buying it again. The 338 strike price is very cheap. It still needs to go up $1.50, so about 0.5%, which would be 2% for Dow for total gains today. But those 338 puts or 338 calls are very cheap. 337 even is like 40 cents. I wouldn't be a big fan of putting a lot of money on it just because it is overbought and could come down at any point, but the sentiment for DIA today is definitely FOMO if it's overbought all day. soon. All right. NVIDIA's finally pulling back. A smidge here. All right, so I think I'm gonna buy some 355 Q puts. Looking to buy QQQ 355 puts, expiring 6/2. They're going for 103 already, so already jacked up. Yeah, looks like we missed that one. But NVIDIA topping out at 399, pulling back to 397 right now. So I would expect Qs to probably pull back to 50 RSI. You're probably going to see a continuation for the Dow. Since it's overbought, it's been overbought all morning. Probably going to continue to expect that. You might see 338 for Dow today, and that'll probably be how today pans out. You might see some sort of neutral or bearish for Qs, I would think, from here on today. And that's all the trades we got. So I'll catch y'all on Monday at 9:30. See you, everybody.